Good to go.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Now, there's a couple of new trends that have come out. There's a couple of new fads that are coming out when it comes to nutrition and so forth. So I'm hoping that Charlotte will be joining us later on today. Ooh, is she in? Let me have a look. Oh, you're Charlotte. Charlotte, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm absolutely fine. How's your Monday going?
Fantastic. So far, so good. Charlotte, straight into the meat of the matter. When we look at these things that happen, especially in your space, when you're looking at nutrition, there's always a seesaw. There's this trend that pops up now. Then there's this diet that is popular. And then, you know what? I call it diet. You know, it's D-I-E-T. In Afrikaans, I say die-eet and die-eet. Jy wil enige iets eet, which means this eat or that eat, you're going to eat anything. Because once you stop a diet, the chances are, if you look at it from a weight loss perspective, it's extremely restrictive rather than focusing on the strategy of eating. And when you stop those restrictions and, you're craving, like, me and my sweet tooth, Charlotte, then, things tend to stay on. But Charlotte, here's what I have for you today, is that there are certain, and some survey studies have shown that there are particular trends that are stepping up to fruition. All right, in the nutrition space. So number one is that a food trend has gone mainstream. And I noticed this when you see people are starting to talk about it in social media. Now, a trend doesn't necessarily mean that it is scientifically based. Ooh, here's my security guard barking at a box. Give me 2 secs. Have a look at my security guard, everybody. I am kept safe. I must just get the dog used to barking when I open the fridge to get sweets. That's all that I need. But Charlotte, question number one.
Yeah.
Right. Is a plant-based diet a trend that is coming back?
Well, it seems that it is a little bit. There's a lot of people punting for it and a lot of people who have some presence on social media. So it's a good thing. I will say I fully support it. I think it's definitely good for the planet. It's good for your diet. It's good for health. But, and there is a but, people have got to follow these trends for the right reasons. They don't just promise a new hope. We've got to look at them and see them for what they are. They are just a trend. And yes, as long as it's supported by scientific evidence, then it's worth following. But if it's just a trend because Joe Soap followed it and lost 5 kilograms, well, it may not be working for you. So you've got to make sure that it does work for you.
Charlotte, next trend. I noticed restaurant menus. Whether it be takeaway or now we can sit down again, right, within limitations. But many of the restaurants are now focusing on vegan or plant-based food options. And is that something we should go for, or should we rather focus on whole foods, not just plant-only versions of certain foods? We're looking at our meals.
Yeah, I think that also on the back of that previous question, there's definitely a movement towards eating more plant-based foods, and it fits in with this whole Mediterranean diet plan that we spoke of before. And that's just a very big term for having more plant foods in your diet. I was listening to a podcast last week, which was talking about the advantage of saturated fats versus unsaturated fats or healthy fats on cognitive or cognition. Now, in layman's terms, that's whether you're going to get dementia or not as you get older. And definitely the research is pushing the plant-based products or the plant-based foods because they have a lower saturated fat content. However, it still has to be within this healthy form, because you can't just eat plants, have them deep fried, and just because it's not meat or not animal based, that it's now healthy for you. So see it in context. It still has to have healthy fats, not fried food. Look for things like hydrogenated fats. Margarine is a pet hate of mine, so I'm sure I'm going to be sued by all the margarine companies. But basically, they promise the wrong thing. They're not promising what they set out to do. So yes, plant foods, to answer your question, are useful. They lower your budget. They do supply more protein than we think they do. And yes, we should all try to eat more plant foods, especially if it makes us eat more fruit and vegetables. But having a plant-based food that's just like a massive food additives and preservatives and colorants so that it tastes like meat has no value, in my opinion, at all.
Ah, okay, cool. I get you. I get you. Yeah, people. Nyama is the nyama, and the plant is the plant. Do not confuse the two. Charlotte, I'm going to ask our tech team, George, as well, to if they see any questions on the different platforms that we are on as we go live right now, please post them into the Zoom chat, George, because I can't see the other platforms, but also to let our viewers know this time, this live time with Charlotte is for you. If you've got any questions, if you've got any queries with regards to nutrition, then please, you got to post them right now in the chat, and Charlotte and I are here to answer them for you. Charlotte, now one thing that I have noticed, and yes, I am a victim of this one, and I say victim because I am guilty as charged, is the whole Japanese influence. So Japan is hot right now. One is the Tokyo Olympics is going through a lot of things over there, but also sushi. And it's been around for a long while. I mean, you know, South Africans, there's even boerewors sushi, by the way, and fried chicken sushi. Let me just state that out there. But Charlotte, the one thing I wanted to check with you is this, is that Japan has one of the lowest rates of obesity in the world and one of the longest life expectancies. And this is because, and possibly due to, its government mandated program known as Shokyuku, which is lifelong food education that starts at preschool and extends through the whole population into old age. Now, what does this mean for us? Because, you know, there's things like matcha that's coming out and the fermented soybeans as well. So is the Japanese food trend something that we should be looking at? And what's your advice on that?
Okay, so yes, definitely those sort of things, fermented foods, more plant-based, like the fermented soya, all of those kind of products have a lot of value. When it comes to sushi, I think that's a different discussion because sushi effectively means raw fish. And in the space of a restaurant, I'm a little bit concerned about salmonella infection and so on when the food is contaminated. Is raw fish good for you? Yeah, but then that's a whole fish debate. And as I say, it's got to be suitably managed so it doesn't have any contamination. In terms of the other Japanese types of cuisine or the foods that they push for in their cuisine, I think I think the jury's still out there. I still think the education that they do is fantastic and phenomenal. They do traditionally follow quite a low saturated fat diet. There's a lot to be said for that. So they don't have high levels of pork or beef or lamb, for that matter, in their diet. They eat a lot of fish. And there's definitely a lot of value for that. It's also very good to educate children from the word go. I used to talk to kids at grade 1 level at one of the schools, and it was fabulous. It was fabulous because these kids wanted to know, and they had such interesting and intelligent questions. I won't carry on. I know we've got a question, I think.
No, that's fantastic. But I love that. Knowledge is power, but the right knowledge is more powerful. And this is very true as we look at it from the perspective of, you know, sharing well-being wisdom. This is exactly what we're doing here today. There's a question from Yolandi. What are the advantages of following a plant-based diet?
Okay, so first of all, you can get protein sources that we don't realize from a plant-based diet. There's a massive budget thing here because plant-based protein sources are much cheaper than your animal proteins, and they are more available. And I think that's the message we need to get out. There's so many people in disadvantaged societies that don't have access to enough protein, and people are punting meat and chicken and fish when they don't even have access to those kinds of foods. So yes, to me, the main advantage of eating a plant-based diet is more the reduction of saturated fats, trans fats, and having a good protein source without that are available.
Awesome. There you go, Yolandi. Hope it answers your question. If you need more information, just check out myhealth360.co.za to one is book a session and a consult with Charlotte, or check out all the information and content that's available on there. Charlotte, my last trend that I want to really find out about is something that I know is very popular right now. The politically correct term is cannabis or hemp. And we know all about this cannabis trend. Now, me, I'm a township boy. It's Dacha. The Dacha trend right now, in line with on last year's and the year before's predictions as well. Hemp has gone a mainstream way, because you now get plant-based foods, hemp chocolate, hemp meat pies, hemp chips, hemp this, and it's exploding into a sister product, CBD oil. What does this mean for us when we see even more CBD-based products in everyday life? I mean, are there any health benefits associated with that?
There are. We've got to separate the active ingredients from the hallucinogens, because the two aren't necessarily always separated. In terms of food products, hemp seed oil is a fabulous provider of essential fatty acids and monosaturated fatty acids. So from that point of view, it's great. But the moment people see hemp, they see cannabis or cannabis oil, and the two aren't not necessarily the same. Cannabis oil is a processed product, and there are various sources out there, but they aren't always regulated, and that's my problem. In this country, we don't regulate those sources as strictly as we should. So people are buying stuff not on the promise of what it says it has, but there's been no testing to confirm that.
Isn't that like most products out there? So don't fall for the marketing messages, people. Follow it and choose with the right information that Charlotte is giving us, as MyHealth360 does. Charlotte, last question for you for today. There's a question from Jacinta in our Facebook group as well, and it says, there's a new trend out. 1 tablespoon of coffee with 1 tablespoon of lemon juice every day helps you lose weight. A friend of mine tried this trend and said that he lost 1 kilogram in a week. Is that possible?
Yeah. Okay, so that's really putting me on the spot. So many of these weird things, like having lemon juice and water first thing in the morning, cuts down your calorie intake for the rest of the day. There's nothing wrong with putting lemon juice in coffee if you like that flavor, but the scientific evidence of it allowing you or pushing you to lose weight, I don't think so. There just isn't enough evidence to support that. But if you say that because you had that drink, that you did eat less after it, then obviously there is some anecdotal evidence to say it's worthwhile doing. But in my book, there isn't enough in coffee and lemon juice combination to support that hypothesis.
I get you. So people, keep the coffee natural. What does Yolandi call it? Glitz coffee, you get the instant coffee. So, I mean, Charlotte, also, we do know when we look at that, in the last minute or so, is that when we look at coffee, we know that coffee's got caffeine, and there are certain studies that have shown that caffeine can help boost your metabolic rate, which could result in more energy burned at rest. It also stimulates the nervous system, right? But this won't have any effect, because when you look at weight loss and fat loss, I think that'll be our discussion for tomorrow, because many people confuse the two. And as we look at that, is that we know that there's 2 different types of tissues. You've got to change different things, and that's a discussion for tomorrow. When we talk about fat inside the body, around your organs, and the risk of that, Jens umkaba. When you look like you're 24 months pregnant, about to have 25 children, male or female, and the tummy's really big, that's a discussion for tomorrow. And what does that fat mean? And then Charlotte will give us some great tips and insight on how you can literally flip up nutrition. And she's also got an amazing quest on myhealth360.co.za that helps you master your weight loss. Because here's the thing, Charlotte, am I correct as you and I wrap up? If you want to master something, it means you need to consistently practice it. And as you consistently practice something with the expert information that you could digest in your thoughts, in your actions, in your behaviors, over time, you become a master of it. So no matter what trials or tribulations you may go through in your weight loss, if you follow your weight loss mastery quest, you become the master of the scale. Am I right?
Absolutely. I think making informed choices is key. And it does open up everything for you. If you start eating things because somebody else said you should, then that just has no value for you. You've got to know what your body type is, how you respond to foods. Does it suit you? Does it make sense? And that's what the Weight Loss Mastery course is all about. It's about providing information so you can understand where you're at, why you're there, and what you can do to fix it, if you want to.
Oh, yeah, if you want to. It boils down to that. So here's the thing, Charlotte. You got to make that choice first. And I love what you said, and it speaks to the context of well-being wisdom, well-being growth, well-being development. And that's exactly what MyHealth360 does. And I look forward to seeing more and chatting to you more about the Weight Loss Mastery Quest and everything else to do with food and nutrition. Charlotte, have an amazing Monday, and we'll chat to you on the morrow.
Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye.
All right, everyone. Amazing time with Charlotte spent today. Now, let me give you a heads up. On Wednesday, MyHealth360 is having a surprise Shred 360 session just for you. We're having influencers on board, a trainer that's got mass following. He's going to come on board. So check out on our Facebook group. Join in Wednesday, 5 p.m. surprise session. Body Shred 360, baby, helping you get into shape without going to the gym. Where your body is your gym and you're going to shape and tone and tweak and panel beat is sigale keke baba, and get rid of that fat with some movement as well. So until then, stay safe and stay healthy. See you tomorrow. Bye.